All right. And to start, welcome everyone. We are thrilled to have you all here to talk about our favorite subject, community engagement. And we're just really excited to welcome you onto campus. This is a really exciting time to be a college student and a really weird time to be a college student. So we understand that there's probably a lot of questions you all have about how do I get to know Colorado Springs? How do I get to know this place, this community? So we'll be talking through some concrete strategies, but also just doing a little reflecting about goals that you all might have about engagement. We'll also talk about what engagement even means. So all sorts of things to talk about today. But to start, my name is Sophia Prey. I am a CC alum from 2019. I actually was a Winter Start, so I have a special connection to all Winter Start students. And I am the Civic Leadership Paraprofessional at the Collaborative for Community Engagement. That is a mouthful. So basically, I work with students to help discern what their interests are in public work and working with the community, and do a lot of teaching and programming. And the Collaborative for Community Engagement, we call it the CCE on campus, and the CCE is the hub for all things community related. So we work with students, we work with faculty, and we work with partners. And on that note, I'll let Nikki Sosa introduce herself.
Hey everyone, my name is Nikki Sosa. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Community Partnerships Coordinator in the Collaborative for Community Engagement. And I just want to echo Sophia's thoughts and sentiments and welcome you all to Colorado College, to this community. And if you're not currently on campus, if you will be soon, welcoming you to the local Colorado Springs community as well. My role as the Community Partnerships Coordinator is focused on developing relationships with local organizations and government entities to develop meaningful opportunities for all of you to engage and create impact here in our local community. So in addition to working with community partners, I also do a lot of work with students and helping to advise and get you connected to issue areas that you're really interested in, organizations, and type of work that you want to be engaging in. So really excited to be here today to share with you all the opportunities through our office to get connected.
Awesome. So just as a quick note about how this session will be run, we do have a PowerPoint just to kind of provide some visuals so you don't have to just stare at our faces the whole time. But we encourage you to ask questions throughout. So if you see something and you're like, you know what, I don't even know what that word means, or I'm not sure what this looks like in practice, just yell it out. There are no wrong answers here. No wrong questions. There could be some wrong answers, but hopefully not. But yeah, we're trying to make this as interactive and as useful as possible for you all. And hopefully this is just the beginning of our relationship. As Nikki said, we are both resources in this office to all of you. So we really look forward to continuing the conversations after this session and beyond. All right, so I'm just gonna pull up our PowerPoint. So to start, we'd really like to, I did presenter view. There we go. Slideshow. All right, everyone can see those slides? Thumbs up if you can. All right, we're moving too quickly. Okay, cool. So the theme of today's session is just understanding the options for engagement at CC. I wrote NSO, but I meant WSO. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, we're here to talk to you about that. So to start, we're going to do some introductions, but what we'd like, I don't know why it's automatically moving. Sorry. We're going to ask you to reflect on what the word engagement brings up for you. So briefly write down on your piece of paper what the word engagement brings up, and then I'll ask a few of you to share out the 1 or 2 word definitions that you have. So let's just take about a minute to do that. All right, cool. I think it's been about a minute. So let's just have a few folks, if you could share your name, your preferred pronouns, and your concept of engagement.
My name's Quattro, and my pronouns are he, him. And I said active participation for what engagement means.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Quattro. Nice to have you here. All right, more definitions, more things that are running through people's minds.
My name is Yasmin, and they use she, her, hers pronoun, and I wrote like participating and being part of an active community.
My name is Lily. I use she, her pronouns, and I said it was a personal connection and influence in a subject or matter.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Yasmin and Lily. Anyone else want to share their definition? What comes to mind?
Hello, my name is Mahanur and I use she, her pronouns. And I wrote involvement and making arrangements to meet people and to get involved as much as possible.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Welcome.
My name is Ruben Alter. I use he, him pronouns, and I just kind of said meaningful interaction with any subject or interest.
Nice. Thank you, Ruben. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Gracie. I use she, her pronouns, and I said connecting with others.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else who hasn't shared their definition yet? All right, awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing. I heard a lot about purpose, kind of there's meaning to this work, involves other people, so not something that you do just on your own. All really good themes and all important themes that we'll kind of explore. We have kind of an ever-growing definition of engagement as well. So throughout the session, we're kind of going to talk about different forms to kind of expand or specify in some cases what engagement could mean during your time at CC. Though we understand it's personal. One definition for one person, it will look really different for other people. So I encourage you to keep journaling about what engagement means to you as you progress throughout your CC journey. All right, there we go. Whoop. I think I had paused my screen share. Okay, so really quickly, we're just gonna talk about some different pathways for engagement. So what that means is thinking about all of the different ways that you can engage in a community. So we have supporting community identified social and environmental needs. We have organizing people to mobilize change. We have changing markets, changing political systems, and changing culture, ideas, perspectives, knowledge. I'd like you all to take a minute to just process these different pathways and reflect on what forms of engagement you might be most familiar with and which ones you might be least familiar with. And then also noting if there are any you're really excited to explore or learn more about, and then any that you might be familiar with that you do not see represented. So let's just take another minute to just kind of sit with this and reflect. All right, so who has any thoughts about what forms of engagement are really familiar to them? Does anyone feel comfortable sharing that?
The activism, protest, and social movement part of it.
Totally. Yes. Thank you, Ruben. Yeah, that's something we've been seeing and hearing and maybe participating a lot in the past few months, right? If you've been paying attention to the Black Lives Matter movement and other kind of visually represented movements globally too. Yeah, activism, protest, social movement. That's a big one for sure. Anyone else see something that they're familiar with or know of? That's okay. I can share. So I think oftentimes in high school, sometimes there are requirements for doing volunteer service, and that kind of category would fall under direct service. So the direct service work looks like volunteering at a soup kitchen, or organizing files for a hospital, or being a companionship volunteer. Any of those things that involve just kind of direct, immediate needs that you're doing in person would fall under direct service. So that's something that I think a lot of students, as they kind of transition into college, myself included, had more experience with. Are there any that folks have questions about? And questions are great. Does anyone see any of these that they're excited to explore? Perhaps during their time at CC?
Hi, I'm Zoe. I use she, her pronouns. I see storytelling initiatives, and I'm kind of picturing like first person like narratives, which can be really powerful for movements and like making change. I'm excited to take some classes in English and maybe like journalism related things that can help us figure out how to make meaningful and powerful storytelling initiatives.
That's great. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Zoe. That's awesome. I think storytelling is something that we oftentimes overlook when we're thinking about types of engagement, because it seems like, oh, well, that's just journalism, right? Or that's just kind of media or more arts. But actually the arts and storytelling has a huge role to play in changing our world. So really excited. Thank you for sharing that. We do have a journalism institute at Colorado College, so they have fantastic courses. And there's also a student newspaper, student journals that you can get involved with to kind of explore that one. So thanks for sharing. Anyone else excited to explore something on this chart?
I'm Esty. I use she, her pronouns. And for me, I'm really interested in changing political systems. I think that changing, but also institutional policies at the college are sort of and as well as government policies are going to be the best ways for me to impact the issues that I'm most interested in.
I love that. Thank you, Essie. Yeah, Colorado College as an institution, it is political, right? The personal is political. There's so much work to be done about and ways to engage with shaping the policy of not only Colorado College, but also Colorado Springs. There is, so Colorado Springs really quickly is run by a city council as well as a mayor. We are a very large city, but also a city where once you start getting to know people, you kind of know the people who are doing the work. So it's an awesome place to get involved in the political scene. We have a lot of students who are still working on changing policy, like around affordable housing right now. A lot of folks who have volunteered and worked with city council people. So awesome, you're excited about the political realm. There's a lot to do here for that. Nice. So
I just want to build off of that real quick, Sophia, as you had shared, because part of this also want to like help share some information about Colorado Springs. As Sophia has said, it is a big city, and a lot of folks, once they get really comfortable in here, it ends up being kind of the smallest big city that you'll live in. That's how a lot of people working in the community refer to it, because it is very relational. Working within the public sector in Colorado Springs is so very relational, as it is in many places. And yeah, once you get plugged in, as Sophia had said, you end up meeting a lot of the key players. And just want to let you all know, this is a really highly active city where you can be a part of change. You can actively, in your 4 years, be a part of something and see change happen kind of right in front of you. So just would love to encourage you all to explore that in your time.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Nikki. We actually just in our staff meeting earlier today, we're talking about featuring a story about a nonprofit that was started by a CC student and has now grown to become one of the most reliable nonprofits in Colorado Springs that works around food access and food education. So really, really great things that CC alum have been able to do here. So. All right, well, we'll move on. This is something to keep pondering, and we're really trying to just open your minds about all of the different possibilities for engagement. So there's no one way to engage, and we'll get into that in this next slide. So myth busting, just a really quick rundown of different kind of myths that we have encountered that somehow get learned. We're trying to break them. We're on the myth busting team. So just a few things to remember throughout your time at CC. So the first myth, there's only one way to engage in community or there's only one right way to engage. As you saw on the last slide, there's so many different ways to engage, and we encourage you to tap into your self-interest, tap into your skills, tap into your passions, and figure out what it is that feels right for you. There is no one size fits all in the engagement realm. So we are here, CCE staff members, to help you kind of in that discernment process of figuring out what that looks like for you. Number 2, engagement must mean only volunteer work. So there is this misconception, I think, that exists that engagement or service can only mean that you're doing it as a volunteer. You can't be paid for it. But that is not true. That's an equity issue if we do think that engagement is only something that you can do when you're not getting paid for it. We encourage you to find opportunities that fit your own situation. And if that means finding a job that pays you, that's awesome. We're definitely gonna help you as an office find options that work for you in your situation. So paying jobs are completely a form of engagement. We just encourage you to remember that. Number 3, engaging at CC means doing work off campus. So we like to think that Colorado College, well, we like to think, but also it's true, that Colorado College is a part of the broader Colorado Springs community. So what that means is that engagement doesn't necessarily have to happen out there. It can happen at Colorado College too. We encourage you to get to know the broader city and community partners that are doing amazing work off campus, but also to plug in at CC and see if you can connect with other students and faculty and staff who have similar interests and passions as you. Number 4, I am alone in figuring out how to plug into opportunities during my time at CC. You're not. We're here. Our office is made for this. So please come to us, reach out. We love talking to students about their interests and passions. We'll just leave it there. You're not alone. Number 5, I must commit to one form of engagement or only one opportunity throughout my CC career. Now, for some of you, you might have a primary interest that you want to work on, and that's the only thing you want to do at CC. That's great. You're also at a liberal arts college, so we understand and recognize the importance of exploration, and we see that carrying through in the form of engagement too. So we encourage you to explore. We encourage you to figure out what path of those previously defined pathways fits your interests, your skills, and you can only do that if you're trying them. So we encourage you to try as many different types and kinds of work as possible within reason. Number 6, engagement can only happen when I'm at CC. So this one's especially pertinent during COVID times. In case you are at home and Zooming in to CC, we encourage you to be involved wherever you are locally while also getting to know Colorado Springs. So we do want you to explore Colorado Springs because that is your home for the next 4 years. But we also understand that there's a lot going on in your local communities. So please get involved on those levels too. And that's great. We support and appreciate that as well. And then finally, number 7, engagement is something I do, not something I embody. This one's a little bit of a bigger philosophical kind of point. We really want to encourage you all to think about how you can live an engaged life. And what we mean by that is that if doing direct service and volunteering once a week is something that you're really excited about, that's awesome. How can you bring that same attitude into every space you occupy? So what that means is we're really trying to move away from a compartmentalized view of engagement where that's just something that you do on the weekends or once a week, to rather doing something that you are thinking about constantly. So engagement is an attitude in a sense. It's a way of saying, I am present, I am here, I'm with other people, I'm actively engaging, which means I'm actively listening, I'm actively trying to be present in all situations I'm in. And that looks different for everyone. So I'm not going to try to prescribe what the engagement lifestyle looks like for you, but it's just something we encourage you to dwell on and reflect on during your time at CC as well. Any questions about these myths? I know that was me talking for a long time. So anything going through anyone's minds, questions?
I do
Okay.
want to build off of that number 7 a little bit. I think, Sophia, you put it so well in wanting to encourage you all to think about how you can lead an engaged life. And I just wanted to share what that might look like for me, being probably, I'm guessing, I'm pretty 100% positive I'm the oldest person on this call. And there have been times in my life when I have felt like I was more engaged because I was actively volunteering on a regular basis. And there have been times when I have not been able to, whether that's because of personal life obligations, work obligations became a little bit too much to where I didn't have as much free time anymore, like I did when I was younger, like I did when I was in college. And maybe my engagement was closely interwoven into my academic career. It doesn't look like that anymore for me. And so what engagement now kind of looks like for me is being that active participant in different ways, being an informed citizen. So that way, when I show up for elections, local elections, even, I can make informed decisions, actively reading and learning about issues in my community. And are there ways that I can be working as an individual? Are there groups that I can maybe help even promote? Maybe I'm not actively working for them, but I can help kind of promote the work that they're doing in some way. So it does look very different for me right now. I'm mostly kind of in a more taking a step back, reserved learning space as part of my engagement. So just wanted to add that little bit of what that could look like, because I do very much remember being in that space, having so much energy and being out there and doing a ton of stuff. And it looks and feels so much different now that I'm in a different phase of life. So, and I know that in my next phase, that will shift again.
Thank you for sharing that, Nikki. Yeah. I appreciate your point about how this moment is about learning too, because that's something that we as an office have been talking a lot about, is that engagement during this moment of COVID-19, when direct service is actually not something we're promoting, it's actually something we're avoiding. Learning is a big part of engagement, and that looks like learning about your community, but then also learning and tapping into your own interests and kind of figuring out what it is you might want to do or have capacity for. But yeah, and to Nikki's point, it's shifting constantly. So this next reflection that we do will just be a little checkpoint that you can come back to in, say, a semester and say a year, be like, oh, that's what engagement looked like for me then, and see how it's changed. So with that, we're going to do some reflection. So if you have that pen and paper, we're going to take some time. We'll give you about 4 to 5 minutes to reflect on these questions. You can either reflect on all of them or just one of them that speaks to you in this moment. And we will not ask you to share out. So this is totally personal, but we do encourage you to do this reflection. So I'll put on some music and we'll just take some 4 minutes.
We'll do about 2 more minutes of reflecting and journaling. All right, I think we can wrap up. Sophia, remind me, are we doing a little bit of sharing right now or transitioning?
We'll keep this private for now. So we are going to transition, but we encourage you to meet with us and we can kind of explore this more one-on-one later if you are interested.
Definitely. And as Sophia had shared, to kind of keep some of that reflection as well as you go through your time at CC and even beyond, to look back to see where were you when you first started, where are you in a year from now when you're getting ready to graduate, how are you thinking, how are you feeling about engagement and how you want to be showing up. So now that you do still have your notebooks out, would like to go through all the ways that you can get connected through our office. So there's a few different pieces that we're going to touch on, engagement pathways directly through our office, what we can offer you. We're going to not go into depth about the pathways beyond CC or funding opportunities, but do just want to highlight that there are some additional pathways at CC that our office collaborates with, opportunities like through the Career Center and through other departments on campus. So just know that there are other opportunities that we would be happy to explore with you. And then as well as funding opportunities, just something that you all can keep in mind that we do have some funding opportunities for various types of engagement as well. And then we'll also go a little bit in depth on digital and staff resources for you all. So first one, engagement pathways. We have a few different pathways to get you connected to whatever form of community engagement speaks to you. The first one we have is direct community engagement. So this is, we kind of see this as one of the opportunities to be an entryway into engagement, especially in getting to know Colorado Springs, knowing that many of you may be here for the very first time and getting to know not just CC, not just your peers, but also getting to know the local community. We have a program called Breakout, which is a program that hosts weekly Saturday trips someplace out in Colorado Springs, partnering with local organizations for one-off short-term opportunities. And that program also hosts breakout trips, block break breakout trips. So as you all know, at the end of each block, there is about 4 days where you get a break, and breakout leads extended trips. Sometimes we go a little bit out of Colorado Springs for those trips, regional. Currently, all of that is operating in the virtual world, but when we are back in person, we look forward to hosting more trips out into the community. The other opportunity want to let you all know about when it comes to direct community engagement are student organizations. We have several student organizations that we advise through our office. Many of them work with local schools, but we do have some student organizations that partner with other local organizations and do a lot of impactful work on campus as well. So those are open for you all to explore and join. Next form of engagement is community organizing. So if you're interested in getting involved in a community campaign or an initiative, this would be a more long-term type engagement, something that you can foresee yourself participating in over several months to maybe even your entire time at Colorado College. We are currently working on building up 10 issue-based coalitions, and you'll see right under the Did You Know the list of the various issues where we have established coalitions that we are working on building. So all of these issue areas working to develop not just students, but also staff, faculty, and community partners who are doing work in this area, have interest in this area, have background and knowledge, expertise to lend to this area to have greater collective impact. Both on and off campus. So I'd encourage you to explore these issue-based coalitions that we are building up in the CCE right now. And the next one is our civic leadership programs. So we have 2 different programs that you could get connected to. One is our community engaged scholars, and that's actually a precursor to the next one, which is community engaged leaders. But really want to focus on the community engaged scholars program as you all are new students. This is a really great program that you can apply to. It's optional, it's open. This is something for those of you who can envision yourself doing some type of engagement over your time at CC. And actually, I feel like I'm being really inarticulate about community engaged scholars right now. Sophia, could you share a little bit more about the program? I feel like you would be much more succinct about this program.
Sure, no worries, Nikki. Yeah, we have a lot going on in our office, as we'll learn through this presentation. But yeah, CES is really a way to just commit to your engagement work. So what you're basically committing to is 300 hours of engagement work throughout your 4 years as a CC student. And what that looks like, what support you'll get if you do it, is more intentional advising with CCE staff. You'll have access to a whole group of other students who are very interested in engagement work as well. So you can kind of meet people through some of our programs that we offer to CES students. And then there's also classes. So if you're interested in learning about more about the nonprofit sector, or you're interested in learning about how to improve your listening skills when you're talking with someone, or if you're interested in learning about how to create solutions to problems that you see in the real world, or how to work with people to discern an interest that you have that you want to act on. Basically, all of those classes we offer on a weekly basis, and they're developmental. So what that means is that as first years, you can go on our website and look up CCE Changemaker curriculum, and then you'll be able to find all of the workshops that are tagged for first year students. And then next year as a sophomore, you'll be able to do more advanced workshops and on until you graduate. So the CES program is really an awesome kind of general way of saying, you know, I do want to hold myself accountable to doing engagement work. Again, it's not separate, but just being an engaged person. So highly encourage you all to apply. It's the easiest application. And basically what happens when you do submit an application is that I'll look through it. It's asking you to reflect on your interests, your passions, etc. And then I'll recommend specific tangible options for you. So I'll say, hey, in the summer, you might want to check out this, or hey, we actually have a program that's happening this semester that you could join. So really it's a way for us to know what you're interested in so we can make those connections between you and the community.
Thank
you. Probably longer than you meant, Nikki.
Thank you, Sophia. Yeah, and with that Changemaker curriculum, we're really excited. That's something we launched this year and would encourage all of you to check those out. The Changemaker curriculum is not something that you absolutely have to be enrolled in one of our programs to participate in. Those are open to the campus community, so feel free to pop into those. But if you are a community engaged scholar, the workshops in the curriculum will help support your pathway throughout that. And when you do complete your time at CC as a community engaged scholar, you do get a recognition at graduation with that. Yeah, that's it on that one. And our final form of community engagement, final pathway, is community engaged learning and research. So we are also excited in the last year and a half we launched the Peak Inquiry Project. And this is an opportunity where you can participate in project-based work, whether it's research, a creative project, helping to develop programming for a local organization. We built this out so that community partners are submitting to us their big challenges, their needs, their questions, things that they would like to partner with Colorado College students on to impact change in their organization and in the community. So we currently have an open and rolling list of active projects up on our website. I did pop the website into the chat there, and you can look through under our work. You can find the page for the current active projects. So currently, a lot of opportunities to get connected through a specific project. If you're wanting to kind of hop around and explore a little bit, maybe you're not totally set and certain on the type of work that you want to do. Maybe you're really interested in doing some curriculum development, but maybe also you're interested in helping to develop a website. There are many different opportunities where you can kind of hop around to develop your skill set, but also get a better idea of what work really energizes you. And also in what issue area, with what type of organization are you really passionate and interested in working in. So those projects are local nonprofit and also government agencies where we're asking for ideas. So I'd encourage you to hop onto there regularly and find opportunities that you can engage in. And finally, just wanted to share this list of digital resources. COVID-19 definitely forced us to rethink how we are engaging with community, especially when we realized encouraging students to go out to the community during COVID could end up creating more harm than good. So we did go through a lot of thinking and brainstorming of what are some other ways that students can be engaging in community right now and impacting change. Sophia did an incredible job of putting together this remote engagement document that is available on our website, a running list of virtual opportunities that you can get connected to. These are opportunities for you to kind of sit with, reflect on, brainstorm to see if there's something here locally or within your own community that would be meaningful for you to engage in. We have our volunteer opportunities page that is an active list of current opportunities, which again, we're only highlighting virtual ones. So we do have a calendar of virtual opportunities up on our webpage. The issue-based coalitions, that work is currently all happening in a virtual space right now. Peak Inquiry projects, again, a lot of our partners are also working in the virtual world right now as well. So all of those projects are just happening online. And then the Changemaker curriculum currently in the Zoom space, but in the future, we'll look forward to having in-person sessions. All right, that was a lot of information we just threw at you with the different ways that we can connect you to community. What questions do y'all have?
How does the CCE interact with extracurricular clubs that are activism based?
That's an awesome question, and I can handle that one. So we actually advise over 20 student organizations. So any student organization that works with a community partner, which we define as anyone or any group that is off campus, is usually advised by the CCE. And that's because there's just it's just a different scope of work than if you're doing a student organization that is all focused on CC's campus. So we do advise most of them. And what that looks like is having frequent check-in meetings, having kind of brainstorming conversations. We've done a lot of that with COVID. Also just making sure we're following best practices of working with other partners off campus. A lot of our student organizations, about half, work with youth. And when you're working with youth, there's a whole other realm of kind of best practices to have. So we go through a lot of that work and then offer trainings and stuff like that. Yeah. And anyone's allowed to propose a student organization to us. So if you have an idea, you find a community partner and you're like, you know what, it would be awesome if we could get a student organization started to work with them, then you would submit that application to us. We would review it. We would meet with the partner, just make sure everything seems good to go. And then you would be launched. And then it is like any other student organization in that you can apply to the student government, CCSGA, for funding for an operation budget. So you could use that for transportation costs or for books, if you're doing like a book club, or for snacks for a meeting that you're having with kids or something like that. So does that answer your question, Ruben?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And I'll just add, we've also worked to position our office as a resource to the rest of campus and other organizations. So I'm thinking of organizations like the Greek organizations. A lot of other organizations who don't have a direct link to our office often want to engage with community in a more philanthropic way. And so we do still offer ourselves as a resource to help make connections to community. Any other questions about getting started, about the various ways or types of support and work we do? Cool. Well, know that we are here, that we are really excited to get back onto campus at some point in time. Our office is located on the east part of campus. Once y'all are there and familiar, I'm hoping you'll be able to find us pretty easily, but we're kind of right on the east edge of campus. In the meantime, we are available to meet with you throughout the semester on Zoom to talk about opportunities that you're interested in getting connected to and what pathway would make most sense for you.
I'm just dropping our emails in the chat so you can have them. CC is a pretty easy email directory, so you can also just look up our names and it should pop up with our titles and whatnot. But yeah, as Nikki said, we're here. We're excited to chat with you. So if you're after this call, you want to write us an email, that is fantastic. Feel free to reach out. We're here to kind of help you explore. And then one other thing I just want to make a big plug so that everyone knows is that we have a student hub on our webpage. And that is really helpful if you're like, cool, that was a lot of information, don't remember a single thing. Go to our website and search Student Hub. And that'll pull up all of the different pathways, all of the different programs, extra information, basically any questions. There's even a Q&A that we wrote up for students who are just starting this work. So just go explore that page a little bit. We really encourage that. Okay, and the last part of our session, we kind of want to make this applicable. So, I went to the end. So we're going to do some breakout rooms and make this a little more engaging in the last part. We would like you to discuss your biggest takeaway from the session with your group. So something you're thinking about, something that has not occurred to you yet. You're going to make 3 personal goals related to your engagement journey. You can share this with your group or not. That's all right. With us, we understand that if they're personal, they're personal. So do it at your own kind of want. And then lastly, generate at least one immediate next step that you will take this block and or semester, since you're all just beginning this work, to support each other in signing up for at least one engagement opportunity using the resources we shared, if you want to. It can also just be, I think this is the next step that I'm going to take. And the reason why we want to do this is because, as a lot of you mentioned in your definitions in the beginning, engagement is about people. It's about building networks of people that you relate to or can share in experiences with, can unite over a shared interest, whatever it might be. So this is kind of the first way to kind of get to know each other a little bit more, and about how you as a smaller Winter Start group can start holding each other accountable to do what you want to do. So any questions before we break up into groups? Okay, I think people are scared of breakout rooms because we're seeing some folks leaving, but that's okay. We're going to open up breakout rooms for the rest of you all. If you have questions, we'll be in this main room. And then let's meet back at 4:55. So we have about 5 minutes. All right. Matthew, are you there? Nice.
Ooh.
Everyone like zoomed on out of the Zoom.
Like, no, breakout room, I have to talk to people. No, I'm out. I'm not gonna lie, Sophia. Like, I tend to be that person. I'm like,
I know. That's fair. That's fair. I was like, would I do that? Probably. Like, but do I want them to do that? No. But
I love that a couple of them are like crocheting during this session. I'm like, oh yes, please do all the things to take care of yourself while on Zoom. I love that so much.
right. Oh,
Was a volunteer in the Red Cross, and it was my first time with like doing some volunteering work, engaging with the community, and I found it really interesting because it made me realize the broader perspective of the place I lived and the experiences of other people, especially through the Red Cross. Get that knowledge, and I think one of my bosses, to give the name, he said that getting to know your community and getting your community to know you makes a strong community, makes a community that cares for each other, and a community that cares for each other. Then when it comes to things like politics and choosing majors and presidents and all these things, that if you know what's going on in your community, it's easier.
Yes. Yes.
yes. Yeah, I agree with Nikki. Yes. I love that. It sounds like you had a very wise like mentor in that role. That's
Amazing.
I appreciate you bringing that into this space. Yeah. Mm. Do folks have other reflections they'd like to share? I'm really glad that this brought that up for you and like something you're thinking about, Eric. Are there other things that came up for other folks, or more ideas that are kind of circulating? I'm happy doing silence all night long. But I also recognize our time. So we'll no pressure. I understand that you all had personal conversations. So I hope that from this session, you understand that Nikki and I are both resources for you this semester and throughout your CC careers, that the CCE is an office you can always reach out to, that we do try to make all of the information about ways you can engage and plug into community available on our website. But really just reach out to us. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Nikki, anything else to add?
That was all I was going to add. Please reach out to us. Please connect with us. Ask us questions. Let us know the type of stuff you're doing at Colorado College and in the community. We love even just to hear your stories if you're feeling confident about getting out there. But please, yes, reach out to us. When we're back on campus, please come see us at the CCE. So happy to meet you all, and welcome to Colorado College.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.